Hello, Snowflake channel. It's been a long time. If you haven't subscribed to my other channel, Snowflake Gaming, then you probably didn't even know I was back on YouTube. But yeah, I've been back on YouTube for a couple of months now doing some streams, but I realized I haven't posted any content here for a while, so I thought I'd do this A to Z video of my favorite video games, because it seemed interesting, it was fun to make, so why not? Without any further ado, let's get started. So some quick disclaimers. I said without any further ado, and then I add some disclaimers. This list is about my favourite games, not necessarily the best ones. Don't take this as an opinion of what if one game's better than the other. These are just games that I've personally enjoyed more and that resonated with me, whether that's because of nostalgia, whether that's because of who I played the games with. That's all been taken into account. Obviously, the better games are more likely to be higher up on the list, but you never know sometimes. So please do not get offended too much. Please share your opinions as well. But this is just my opinion. So yeah, also I haven't included for the most part games I've never played. As you can see, as you're going to see with some of the letters, it was very difficult to pick a game because there are not many games starting with that letter. So for the most part, I've played all of these games. And also, I haven't exactly planned out what I'm going to say for each game, but there may be some spoilers for some of the games. So if you see the name of a game you don't want to get spoiled, I'm going to advise you to skip that part. But yeah, let's get straight into the games, or the letters, and then the games, starting with that letter. So, using the English alphabet, we will predictably start with the letter A. Alright, quick technical hiccup there, but we're back. I'm probably just going to cut that part out. So yeah. A is for Assassin's Creed 2. So, anyone who knows me knows I'm a big fan of the Assassin's Creed series, but definitely by far the most enjoyable one for me is Assassin's Creed 2. I have only played up to the end of Revelation, so I haven't played from Assassin's Creed 3 onwards. I played a bit of Assassin's Creed 3, but haven't played any of the future Assassin's Creed games after that. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 2, definitely my favourite one. There was a huge jump up from Assassin's Creed 1. Much better dialogue, much better characters, scenery, so much to do, so many missions. It was just such a really good game. I've even dressed up as Ezio Auditore for Halloween. That's how much I like the guy. And yeah, definitely a really, really good game. Just the music as well. There's so much to like about Assassin's Creed 2. I liked all of the other Assassin's Creed ones. I noticed I've added a special shout-outs category for other games, beginning with the letter A, that I've really enjoyed. So I really enjoyed the original Assassin's Creed as well, even though the gameplay's a little bit less fun, but the story's really good. Really enjoyed Altair's character, and also being in Jerusalem was pretty cool, and seeing all of the sights there. So that was fun. And then Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Revelations, just more epic Ezio games. They weren't as long, I think, as Assassin's Creed 2, and they didn't have as much content, which is why they're a little bit lower on the list. I mean, Revelations, obviously because it was in Istanbul as well, was also a big game for me. And Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was the introduction of Assassin's Creed Online, which I actually really enjoyed playing. But I think the games after Brotherhood that had online required you to pay to play them, so I never actually tried any other Assassin's Creed Online games, which was a shame. But Brotherhood Online was a really nice introduction to it. I really liked the online game mode where you could sort of tail people, and then also you were getting tailed at the same time. You had to try and avoid whoever was chasing you while simultaneously going after your target. So that was fun. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 2. Definitely my favourite one out of the genre. Definitely the one I spent the most time playing as well. Some other games beginning with A, though, I've also really enjoyed. This is in no particular order, by the way. They were just as I remembered them, I added them to the list. So Origami is a game that probably not many people will know, but it's basically like you play as a ninja, and there's a bit of a story to it, but it's mainly fun for the gameplay, and you have to try and basically assassinate all of the people in an area without being detected. It's also a co-op game. I've also played it on my channel with my friend Chris. Spawn Gaming if you want to check out his YouTube. So we had a lot of fun playing that together. You can sort of like teleport to shadows. You have loads of cool abilities, and it's also pretty difficult as well the further you get into it. It's about like sort of manipulating shadows as well. So that's pretty fun. I haven't quite finished it yet. Maybe I will at some point, but very, very enjoyable game. I definitely recommend it. And of course, the classic Among Us. Yeah, Among Us definitely very, very fun to play with friends. Not so much with strangers, but with friends. It's very fun. You get on a Discord call. The game, if you haven't heard of it, which I'd be very surprised if you hadn't heard of it, is a game where you're going through where there's crewmates and there's imposters, and the imposters have to try and kill the crewmates without being detected. And it also opens up a lot of debates, because one body is found, then a meeting starts, and then everyone starts arguing and accusing each other. And it's just really fun to try and find out who the imposter is, or if you are the imposter, try and kill people without being detected. There's a lot of tools such as sabotages, which can make it easier for imposters to get killed or drag people around the map. And crewmates have the ability to do tasks, and if the crewmates finish all of their tasks without the imposters getting all the kills needed, then crewmates will win. And I'm probably explaining it to someone who knows what Among Us is, so enough about that. Great game, loads of fun. I've made hundreds of Among Us videos on my channel with my friends, so that just goes to show how much I've enjoyed the game. And finally, another one that you probably haven't heard of is a Nintendo Wii game called Academy of Champions, which is basically a Ubisoft football game where you play as a character that's trying to make it in the football world. There's like two rival academies. One's really good and is run by Pele. He's in the game, which is cool. And the other one's run by an evil guy called Von Trapp. And you're trying to make one academy better than the other. It was just a really fun sort of game on the Nintendo Wii. There's cameos by a lot of famous Ubisoft characters, including Altair from Assassin's Creed, funnily enough, but also some other iconic Ubisoft characters. Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell, you're going to see him further on. You've also got Rayman as well. Trying to remember who else there was. There was a character called Jade as well, but I can't remember what game that was from. There are a couple more, I think, that I just can't quite remember at the moment, which I'm probably going to find after this. Pele as well is a character you can play as, and all of these characters have like special abilities to do with their character as well. Just a really fun game to play. That'll do it for the letter A. Moving on to B. Yeah, there was actually only one game I could recall playing beginning with the letter B. That is Brawlhalla, which is basically 2D fighting game. Similar to Smash Bros. If you've heard of Smash Bros, which again I'd be surprised if you haven't. But it was a free game on Steam. I think people still play it. Still a pretty fun game. I haven't played it for a while, but yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. Pretty fun to play. You jump, you fight. Pretty basic. It's not the best game in the world, but it was the only game I could think of beginning with B, and I did enjoy playing it. So there it is. There's a couple of videos of that on my other channel as well. Yeah, I can't remember any other B games I actually played. maybe I'm forgetting something, or maybe it's just a big coincidence. I was a bit surprised when I looked through my list and didn't see any other games beginning with V. Moving on to C then, and yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was definitely my favourite C game. I just really enjoyed the story. I'm talking about the original Modern Warfare 2 on the PS3. So many hours spent playing that game. An iconic campaign mode where you get to play as some cool characters. Private Allen, Martinez, can't remember what rank he was, and you get to play as Soap as well. Who was the other character you get to play as? Can't remember for some reason. But there's so many other iconic characters. Makarov, General Shepard, I said Makarov, didn't I? I meant Captain Price. It's a really good story, really fun maps, really fun online as well. I spent a long time playing online game modes with my friends. Search and Destroy was iconic. We used to play quickscope matches on Rust and High Rise, depending on whether we wanted to do demolition or just death matches. I remember going home after school every day, almost, back when Modern Warfare 2 came out, and pretty much going straight on the PS3 and playing some COD. So that was really fun. Some shout outs as well to some of the other COD games I've enjoyed. Black Ops was a really fun one, so that was sort of a continuation for Modern Warfare 2. When that came out, I played a lot of Black Ops as well. That had a pretty good campaign as well. And yeah, I played a lot of Black Ops. I really liked the new game modes, particularly Gun Game was one I played a lot, which was a game mode where you started with a pistol, and then each kill you got given a new weapon, and everyone started on a pistol. And the idea was you had to keep getting a kill with each weapon, and then in the end you had to get a kill with the ballistic knives, I think they were called. Ones where you had to shoot a knife at someone, and then you'd win the game. And then it was sort of a race to see who would get to that. I think it was 20 kills first. I really enjoyed playing that game mode. I also enjoyed playing Call of Duty Warzone as well. That was a fun, probably the most fun I've had playing a battle royale game. I've played a little bit of that with my friend Chris as well, and yeah, I've enjoyed playing that. Some other C games that I've played in the past: Candy Crush. I know it stretches the definition of gaming, but mobile gaming counts, I'd say. Candy Crush, I spent a lot of time playing that. It was just one of the more fun puzzle games I played. Definitely played a lot of it as well. Got to probably like level 500 plus, so that tells you how long I spent playing it. Crash Tag Team Racing was a game I spent a lot of time playing on the PSP. That was just a really fun racing game, very fun for your travels. And yeah, just a bit kind of open world, not really, but you could like go around and explore. There were these fun things called dioramas where you could make Crash die in different ways, which is just fun. They just added a lot of cool features, a lot of mini games as well as the racing aspect, which was fun. You could also combine your racer with other racers, hence the tag team part of the name, where you could use their unique weapons to start shooting other racers, which was a pretty cool aspect. And finally, Counter-Strike / CSGO. Definitely used to play a lot of Counter-Strike, the original version, back when I was a kid. Not online, I just play against bots, and it was pretty difficult, but definitely fun to play. Played a little bit of CSGO, which is basically more polished version of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike definitely has a nostalgia factor. I didn't really play that much CSGO, but yeah, I thought I'd add it in there as well. Just to say, CSGO is the better game, definitely, but Counter-Strike, spent a lot more time playing. Moving on to the letter D. just for one game here. Don't remember playing any other D games, which was Dragon Age Origins. Which, to be fair, I haven't spent a lot of time playing, but I did play the first bit of the campaign. Pretty fun. Maybe I'll get back to it at some point. Just got a long list of other games to play. But yeah, you could pick classes. You could pick. You could get items, and there are different characters. There's a story which I didn't get too deep into. But I do remember enjoying it while I was playing it. Just didn't get to spend too much time playing it. But yeah, if there was any other T games I played for a significant amount of time, they'd probably rank above Dragon Age Origins. Moving on to E. We've only got 2 games here, but they are still very much iconic games. Games I spend a lot of time playing, games I still spend playing. But the top of the list is going to be Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I know it's technically called The Elder Scrolls, but I don't know. There's a lot of games which start with the, and I thought this one, because I didn't have any other games beginning with E, I thought I'd put Elder Scrolls here. I don't know if I've taken that liberty too many other times in this series, but here it is, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. And of course, the only competition to that is Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, which I'm currently playing through on my Snowflake Gaming channel at the moment. Oblivion has the nostalgia factor, but Skyrim definitely a much better game. Loads more features, and it just sort of improved on some of the parts where Oblivion lacked gameplay-wise. Especially, mainly with the gameplay. Because some of the Oblivion gameplay is a little bit monotonous, I would say. Especially when you're fighting enemies, you don't see like animations, for example, and enemies have like massive amounts of health, where you're just slashing at people for like 10 minutes at a time, and sometimes it can get a bit laborious to do all of that. But I think Skyrim improves on that in a lot of aspects. You have shouts as well. I think magic is a bit better in Skyrim as well. Just not in terms of customizability maybe, but in terms of aesthetics, and just it feels more effective as well. But yeah, both really, really good games. Very easy to get absorbed into them. You get so many cool items, so many different quests, so many cool characters. And yeah, we're still waiting for the next Elder Scrolls game. So hopefully we won't have to wait too long for that from Bethesda. But yeah, definitely some of my favourite games there. And I'm still playing them to this day. And F was a really, really tough one to decide. Actually, no, it wasn't tough to decide. It was just a long list of games. But the first place option was very obvious for me. I streamed it yesterday from when I'm recording this. F is for Football Manager. So, Football Manager, I've been playing this game for over a decade. And before that, I was playing Championship Manager. So, manager games, definitely very close to my heart. I just really enjoy football. I really enjoy watching football. And Football Manager was just a game where I didn't have to be mechanically good at it. I just had to make transfers, decide the team, and stuff like that. And there's so many creative ideas I've found out for saves as well. And it's kind of a game where I can just sit back, relax, not get too upset about it, although I did used to get very upset when my team lost in Football Manager, particularly in cup finals. But yeah, I just really enjoy the ability to sit back, make a few decisions, and watch what happens, watch the game unfold in front of you. Definitely really enjoy the simulation aspect of the game more than the actual management part of it. I just love watching the games and just seeing what happens. Yeah, definitely my favorite F game. Probably my favorite game in the entire list, if you're taking into account how much I've played it, and yeah, how much I still play it to this day. But there are a lot of other amazing F games as well. Far Cry 2, definitely a game I really enjoyed playing. Very difficult game. And yeah, just a really interesting first-person shooter where you're put in Africa and you have malaria and you're sort of fighting that while you're trying to get as much money as you can. And you're trying to find your way back home and stuff. So it's a very interesting game. I don't want to spoil it too much, but very, very cool features, interesting missions, interesting characters you get to meet as well. And yeah, for its time, it was a very, very good game. Fun to play. I haven't played many of the recent Far Cry's, but Far Cry 2 is definitely a very good game. We've also got a few select FIFA games from back in the day. I just realized I could have added EAFC 24 to the E list because I've started playing that. Not bad. Not like incredible game because there's so many other FIFAs. It's pretty much the same games, but I've enjoyed playing it, so it deserves to get an honorable mention at least. But yeah, some of my favorite FIFAs there. FIFA 2003 was the first ever FIFA game I played. I still remember seeing like Ryan Giggs and Edgar Davids on the cover. So that was just my first ever FIFA game. So I really enjoyed it. Played it a lot. So yeah, that was my introduction to it as a 6 or 7 year old. I don't remember. I enjoyed FIFA 2005 as well. I think that was the year they sort of updated the career mode so that you can have so that you could watch the match play in real time. Not like so you had the option of simming games in FIFA 2004 in career mode, and in FIFA 2005 you could sort of watch them unfold as they were going, and things would happen, goals would score, and you could make subs. I guess this was sort of a prelude to me playing Football Manager, but I enjoyed playing the career mode. FIFA 2005 a lot more. FIFA 2009 as well, particularly on the Nintendo Wii, was a game I really enjoyed. Yeah, this was the sort of Nintendo Wii era, and there was just a really fun game mode where it was all like cartoons and Miis. You could play a match against each other, and the game mode was just fun. You could like shoot from anywhere, almost score. It was like a 7-on-7 game mode. I just had a lot of fun playing it with my brother and on my own as well. FIFA 2020 as well is on the list. That was the sort of before EAFC 24. That was the last time I played a FIFA. So that was the only modern FIFA I played. I had some fun there as well on Ultimate Team. And a little bit of clubs as well I enjoyed. So that's why that's on the list. And 2010 FIFA World Cup was actually a really fun game as well on the PS3. I remember playing it with a family friend of mine in Cyprus. And we played like a co-op player career where we were all players, where me, my brother, and him were all players of the same country. Of course, Turkey for us, since that's where we were from, or Turkish Cypriot, but Turkey was the closest we could get to playing where we're from. And we all played as individual players on the same team, trying to make it into like Turkey's main World Cup squad and qualify for the World Cup. We didn't actually manage to play it that far because we were just visiting them, but I really enjoyed playing the game to the point where I bought it for myself. And I still enjoy I don't still play it, but I still enjoyed playing FIFA World Cup player career mode on my own, and that was pretty much the only game mode I played on it. But it was just fun, like progressing your character to make it into the 18 of a national team, then trying to qualify for the World Cup as well. And you got to play against all the different nations as well and track your progress. The Fallout games as well, New Vegas and Fallout 4, the games I've played, but I've only played a little bit of them. They might climb up the list the more I play them. Hopefully I'll get around to those at some point as well, but they were pretty fun for a limited amount of time. I played them. Fall Guys is a game I still play. That's pretty fun. It reminds me of the game show Takeshi's Castle, where you start with like 100 characters. In Fall Guys it's 40 characters, and then you're all trying to make it through mini games, and then you slowly get cut down to one. I guess it's a bit like Squid Game now, for those of you who don't know what Takeshi's Castle is. And yeah, it'll just like loads of characters at the start, different challenges that slowly weed people out, and then you eventually get a winner at the end. So yeah, Fall Guys is a pretty fun arcade game, relaxing at times. You could play it with friends as well, which is fun. And yeah, loads of mini games to play as well. One that might surprise people to be on the honorable mention list is Fortnite. So, memes aside, it can be a pretty fun game to play. I think it was the first Battle Royale game I actually did play before Warzone. I do enjoy Warzone more than Fortnite, but Fortnite can be fun as well. I'm not good at it, but I know how to survive. I'm not good at the whole mechanics of killing people, jumping around and building, but I play as a purely survival game, and I can make it pretty far. I think I've come second in the very few games I have played of Fortnite. I haven't played it for a long time, so I can't really speak to how good it is now. And another game I enjoyed and need to get around to finishing at some point was a game called Fury, which is a sort of game, it's hard to explain it, but there's different levels and you're trying to escape from a prison, I think, was the plot of it, and you have to face loads of different bosses. What game can I compare it to? It's like two-dimensional. You're trying to it's not even two-dimensional, is it? Some parts of it are. It's a very difficult game, but it's multiple boss battles in a row, and you're just and each boss has different abilities, which you have to adjust to, and it's just a really fun game to play. I need to get around to finishing that too at some point. Alright, we spent a long time on F, so let's move on to G, where we've got Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, I could have picked any of the Grand Theft Auto games on this list. I've probably spent the most time playing Vice City. That's because I always, when I feel like playing a Grand Theft Auto game, I want to start from the beginning. Then I come off it and play something else. Then when I come back to it, I want to start from the beginning again. But Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is probably my favourite one. It's just a lot better gameplay wise, I think. Story's interesting. Really like the dynamics CJ has with his fellow gang members. You've got Sweet, Ryder, and Big Smoke are all iconic characters as well. I'm not going to spoil anything about the ending since I don't really have to, but gameplay wise is a bit of a step up. I think there's more things to do on San Andreas. There's gang wars, which is an element they've added in there. There are gangs in Grand Theft Auto Vice City as well, but they're not really a big factor into the game. Besides watching gangs fight each other on occasion and taking their guns. But yeah, there's loads of different characters, loads of different areas as well. There's a lot more to explore. There's more secondary objectives as well. So yeah, San Andreas I think edges it over Vice City in that respect. And Grand Theft Auto 4 would probably be higher on this list if I played it more. I don't really remember it too well besides the Nico wanna go bowling meme. Probably when I do get around to playing GTA 4, it might end up being higher on this list. The same will go for GTA 5, which I haven't actually played, if I ever get around to that as well. But yeah, Grand Theft Auto series, definitely a big one for me, one I've played for a very, very long time. And yeah, I mean, GTA Vice City is one of the few games I've actually completed on my Snowflake Gaming channel. If you want to check that out, so that speaks for itself there. And the other game on this list is God of War, which really good game, really fun. Getting to fight all the other gods. Probably would be higher on this list again if I'd played more of it. I've only played a little bit of it, so that's another one on my list of games to play. But very, very fun. Combat is very fun as well. There's loads of different ways to kill enemies. You can use your environment as well. You got your son, whose name evades me. Something Eos. It's Atreus. Boy, I forgot. I remember he's called Boy. That's about it. Yeah, God of War made the list as well. And now H. So only a couple of games I remember playing beginning with H. And the one I've gone for first, perhaps controversially, is actually Hearthstone. So both of these games, Hearthstone and Hollow Knight, I haven't spent that much time playing, but when I did play Hearthstone, I did spend quite a lot of time playing it. And I remember at university playing it with some of my friends, and even going to some events, like playing Hearthstone all together with other friends in a room. So maybe those memories of Hearthstone probably just about edge it for now over Hollow Knight. Again, Hollow Knight's another one on the list of games that I just need to get round to playing and haven't got round to playing yet. I have played some Hollow Knight and it seems like a really good game from what I've played. So when I do get back round to playing Hollow Knight, it'll probably make it to number 1 on the list. But I know my brother probably would not support this decision, but yeah, he's a big Hollow Knight fan. He's got a playthrough of it on his channel, Meru Artifacts. I can leave a link to all the channels I mentioned in the description. But yeah, Hearthstone probably just for the nostalgia edges it over Hollow Knight. But Hollow Knight as well. Hearthstone was a really good card game to play online, because I think at the time, I think it's just maybe because Yu-Gi-Oh! Became such a hard game to play in terms of having to keep up with all of the changes and stuff. Hearthstone was just a lot more simple to play sometimes. Although I do love Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot more than I love Hearthstone. Hearthstone was just a bit simpler to play as well. And there was more people I knew at university who played Hearthstone than Yu-Gi-Oh! So I had to get into that a bit. Haven't played Hearthstone for a long time, though, I have to say. I've gone back into Yu-Gi-Oh! A bit since then. Moving on to I, just the one game over here, and it's an oldie but goodie. IGI2 Covert Strike was the only game I can remember beginning with an I, but it was a really fun one. First-person shooter where you play as a secret agent called David Jones, and you get to, well, it's basically a secret agent game where you enter the base, stealth, stop the bad guys, but you get to play. But for its time, it was a really good game. There was different guns. Yeah, it encouraged creative thinking as well. You had to really think to get past some parts of the game. It was pretty difficult, I think, from what I remember. Maybe it was difficult when I was a kid. Can't say I've played it recently. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with my Windows 11 PC, but a fun game for sure. You get to play in loads of different countries as well. There's cutscenes. Probably doesn't hold up too well against stealth games of today, but at the time, definitely a really fun game to play. J is for Jackbox Party Pack. So I do have a Jackbox game on this channel, which was one of the most fun videos I've actually had with my friends playing Fibbage, which is one of the mini games on the list. So for those who don't know, Jackbox Party Pack is sort of like a party game to play with friends. where only one person actually needs to buy the game and the rest just need to be able to join it on any device. And it's just loads of mini games where you can get to know your friends a bit better and you try and outsmart them. And think of it like those board games you may have used to play with your family, where you got given prompts and you had to respond to them in some way, or you had to think of something. But this is like a digital version of those games, and it can be really fun to play if you have friends to play with, for sure. The other game on this list is James Bond Bloodstone 007, which is a game I played on the PS3, which is honestly a pretty fun James Bond game. Again, it's a bit similar to IGI in terms of what kind of game it is. It's you're James Bond, you're a secret agent, you take down all the enemies and you get to the objective, whether that's stealing files or whatever. But gameplay wise, I do remember it was pretty fun to play. Where you had to use cover and the way you could use takedowns, and then the more takedowns you did, it rewarded you later on by letting you use this ability where you could sort of freeze time and kill a bunch of enemies at once, similar to Red Dead Redemption. If you played that, the Deadeye Red Dead Redemption. So it was a pretty fun game, for sure. Haven't played any other James Bond games to compare it to, but definitely enjoyed that one. Moving on to K. So this is actually a game I haven't played. It's called Kirby's Epic Yarn. And the only reason it's on the list is because I think there was a YouTuber I used to watch who did a playthrough of this game on his channel, and I watched a couple of episodes of it. And that was the only game beginning with K I had any sort of connection to. It seemed like a pretty fun platformer game, but I don't even remember too much about it. I just looked at the list of games beginning with K, and this was the only one that I sort of remembered in any way at all. So I'm not going to speak too much about it. I'll move on to L, where we had an obvious winner here. Again, if you've subscribed to my other channel, you probably saw this coming, but it is League of Legends, top of the list, pretty comfortably. Spent hours and hours and hours and hours of this game. Played it with my friends. So many videos of it on my channel. Still play it to this day as well. Just a really fun MOBA where it's just a 5v5. You have abilities and attacks, and you had to sort of try and outmaneuver your opponent and try and destroy their base before yours. If you haven't heard of League of Legends before, which I'd be very surprised if you were subscribed to this channel and haven't. It's probably responsible for most of my subscribers on Snowflake Gaming, to be fair. Yeah, really, really fun game. Loads of cool characters, cool designs, fun gameplay. And even some amazing lore as well if you want to look into that. Very well developed characters. And there's a bunch of spin-off games coming out which I haven't played, that have come out as well. So yeah, definitely still a developing franchise, but very, very good one. But there are some other games that deserve a shout out. LA Noire, which I also played on the PS3. Very, very fun detective game. I love detective games where you have to try and find the clues and decipher who did the crime. Regrettably, I have actually forgotten how the story goes. I remember a little bit. I say regrettably, maybe it's a good thing, because then if I ever do get a chance to play it again, I can sort of play it through without knowing what to do or knowing the story well enough. But I do remember really enjoying it. And you just have to try and find objects. You have to try and determine whether people are lying. I'm sure you've seen the X to Doubt meme sometime in your life if you've been on the internet. That's from LA Noire. I think it's set in I think it's post-war. But yeah, really fun game there. It's just really enjoyable. Really good story as well. There's also Lego Island 2, which I actually played a bit on my channel as well. Really fun game to play as a kid, where you play as a pizza delivery guy who has to save the world and recover the pages of the Constructopedia, which is like foundation of the whole island. They have to go around to different places. It's a game for kids, but it's still it's still a bit fun to play, even as an adult. It's just like a goofy kind of game where you're going around to loads of different Lego constructed islands, and you get to meet different characters, and you eventually progress to fight the final boss. And adding on to that, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. Also a really fun game. From the Lego franchise. Just there was so much to it, so many different levels to play. You got to play as different Star Wars characters as well, and each of them had different abilities, different jumps, and it was just a relaxing game where you got to like destroy a bunch of stuff, collect coins. Not particularly difficult, but I don't think it was designed to be difficult. It was just designed to be a bit arcadey and a fun way to go through the Star Wars franchise. We'll move on to M. This was a bit of a tough one as well, but I have gone in the end with Minecraft. Again, it's just a really relaxing game to play, where for those of people who haven't played Minecraft and just think it's a bunch of pixels and blocks, you're right, but there is deceptively a lot to do in Minecraft. In the survival campaign in particular, there's just so many different things you can do. You can find treasure, you can find fortresses, temples, villages, and there's so many different enemies you can fight, even underground there are different kinds of terrain and stuff. There's just so much to do in Minecraft Survival. There's creative mode as well, where you can create your own unique worlds, and loads of mods, which I haven't gone too into, to be fair, but there's just so much to do in it, and it's so relaxing. You can play the game completely at your own pace as well. You can go dungeon crawling, try and find some treasure, try and mine some valuable materials, which you can then use to further upgrade your character, build armor, build weapons and stuff. Or if you don't feel like fighting, you can just build yourself a farm or build yourself an amazing house, cut down some trees, find some material, find some food. And I just really enjoyed that freedom to play at whatever pace you want. And of course it's open world, it's randomly generated worlds as well, which is really fun. So definitely enjoyed that aspect of it as well. Some shout outs as well to some other games I've enjoyed in the past. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games was one of my favourite games on the Nintendo Wii. I just really enjoyed trying to beat the world records, trying to win. Some game modes were more difficult than others. I enjoyed having to use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to run. There was circuits as well, where you could play a mixture of different events, and you could sort of compete to get the highest scores and try and win the circuits as well. That was a really fun game. Mario Kart, game I've had a lot of fun playing with my friends. Still play sometimes as well with my friends. Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. But yeah, so many cool maps, very well designed. And of course the items are classic Mario Kart items. The nostalgia of the game as well. Very, very fun. And can get very competitive sometimes. That's the beauty of it. It is a bit RNG, which I know is probably the main reason my brother doesn't particularly like Mario Kart. But I don't know, to me that sort of adds to the fun of playing it with friends, and the frustration is part of what makes it a fun game to me, I suppose. Or hearing other people's frustration as they've been winning for the whole race and then get hit with a blue shell. And some other games on this list you might find to be a bit of a surprise that I've enjoyed are the My Sims games. Not all of them, probably. There's probably more games than that, but the ones I've played, My Sims Kingdom I'll start with first of all. Also a bit of a game that was fun for the relaxing aspect of it. You're basically tasked with going around and helping people around the kingdom. Again, there's loads of different sort of mini worlds with different themes, like industrial themes, medieval themes, theme park themes. And it is probably a game more designed towards children, but I don't know, it was just fun being able to design stuff and build stuff and progress through and help everybody. And gather materials. Again, more of a relaxing aspect of it is how I enjoyed this game. My Sims Agents, though, that was a really good game as well. Sort of built on My Sims Kingdom a bit, less on the building aspect, but more so that you got to. Again, it's a detective game, so that part I enjoyed. Not the most difficult detective game in the world, but it did require some thinking, and there were a lot of different ways to gather evidence as well. Talking to different characters, investigating the areas, and in some cases having to get to like difficult to reach areas as well. There was also an aspect where you could send agents on missions as well, and you had to sort of recruit agents yourself, and you had to choose the right agents for the right missions to increase your likelihood of completing the mission. I don't know, it was just a pretty fun game. All these little aspects to it added to the detective part of the game, which I really enjoyed as well. Maybe a game I'll replay at some point, because I really did enjoy that one. But that's M. I guess that's the halfway point of the alphabet, and we're 45 minutes in. Maybe I'll try and speed up the rest of it a bit. I guess towards the end of the alphabet, we're going to get a lot of letters that won't have a lot of games with it. So, I guess we'll naturally speed up. But yeah, N is for NBA 2K. I haven't played too many games beginning with N, but I have enjoyed playing NBA 2K. I have got 2K24 as well. I only recently started getting into basketball over the last couple of years or so. Just because I wanted to follow a sport which wasn't just football, and basketball is enjoyable to watch. Just very like high action, end to end, and a lot of I've enjoyed getting into some of the teams and the stories and the individual players as well. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed watching it, and consequently thought, let me try playing it. And I have enjoyed playing the My Career modes. I pretty much only played the My Career mode, where you play as an individual player and you're trying to work your way to the top, improve your stats. I really enjoy the story that they had at the start of the old NBA 2K games. I was disappointed when I recently started playing 2K24 that they removed a lot of the story aspect, which I really enjoyed, where sort of you're trying to get into the NBA in the first place. You're playing like college games, you're playing against rivals, against characters you know. Sometimes you'd even play against your rival in the actual NBA when you got there, which was really fun. But it's a shame they've removed that feature, but it's still pretty fun to play as an individual player, in my opinion. You're trying to help your team to victory, using the minutes you have and progressing your character. That's always been fun to me. I play similar game modes. I used to play, well, I'll get onto it later, but I used to play similar game mode on PES as well. And another game I enjoy playing is New Star Soccer, which is like a mobile game, which is, I guess, similar, where you play as an individual player. You have to complete challenges, you have to try and play well for your team. It's a mobile version of it, so it's obviously a lot more simplistic, but there's also a lot of things to do with your character where if you play jumpers for goalposts, it's a better version of that game, I think, where you have to manage your relationship, manage your social life, manage your relationship with the fans, with your manager, and you also have to buy items. You need to get money, so you need to progress your career to get your money. It's a fun mobile game to play. Pretty simple, but the gameplay aspect is pretty fun. Moving on to the letter O, another sports-themed game. Online Soccer Manager. It's basically a watered down version of Football Manager, but it's very easy to play, especially with friends. In school, I used to play this all the time with my friends. We'd set up a league, and each of us would pick a team, and we compete to try and win the league and the cup. And it's all anyone would talk about at school. There were so many rivalries built up from this game. And there was a feature where you could use this thing called training camp, and you had a limited amount of them per season, and would basically make your team play a lot better against a particular team. And people would get angry at you if you used it. They would claim all sorts of conspiracies. There's P2P transfers as well, which a lot of shady stuff happened. People would help each other, scratch each other's backs. It was just the politics of it, if anything, made it a much more fun game than it was. And games were played like once per day as well. So you'd wake up in the morning and the first thing you'd do is check the result of your team to see if you won, and that determined how your day at school was going to go. So that aspect of it was very fun as well. You get to pick tactics and scout players. There were facilities to upgrade as well. And progress would reset every season, so not one person couldn't just get ahead of the others. The only bad thing about it was a bit pay to win, which I guess for a free game, you could kind of forgive it for being pay to win. You could buy in-game currency, which could make things a lot easier for you. Training facilities and number of training camps and stuff were increased. Number of staff members you could get were increased. It wasn't too bad, but yeah, I much prefer games where everyone's on an equal playing field and no one has to pay extra. Moving on to P. Touched on it before, but Pro Evolution Soccer, and no, not the Pro Evolution Soccer that exists nowadays. They kind of ruined the game over the last few years by catering more towards the mobile gamers. They removed so many features from PES. I don't know if they added them back, but I don't know. What they did to the game really ruined my taste, ruined my appetite for it. Especially they removed the Become a Legend feature of the game, which is similar to EAFC Player Career and NBA My Career, where it was just you play as a player, you upgrade your character, you try and become the best player you can be. Those are the kind of game modes I love playing, and that's what I really loved about PES towards the later games. But I really used to love PES anyway. Back in the day, I loved it much more than FIFA. Much more than FIFA. Mainly for the editing features. I used to create players and teams, and then I'd sort of simulate matches of them against each other as well. I'd spend so much time creating players, and so much time just creating tournaments as well, watching them play against each other. Master League was a feature which I really enjoyed. Which had a sort of unique twist to it from just regular career mode, where you got to start with a bunch of players you don't know and sort of build up your team by slowly buying players to become better. Yeah, there was so much I liked about PES, but yeah, mainly the customized features, the editing, and the ability to just do whatever you wanted. You can move players around between teams as well, on your own console only, of course, but very, very fun. Had a lot of time for PES, not so much anymore, sadly, but it was definitely my favourite football game besides Football Manager for a very, very long time. Maybe even for a while it was my favourite for earlier PESs. Like PES 6 is one I played a lot. PES 2008 on the PSP in particular. I played a lot of those games. Some other P games though that make it to the list. Plants vs Zombies is a game I played quite a bit on. Yeah, it's just your standard tower defense game. Is that classified as a tower defense game? I guess it does, doesn't it? you're defending something and you get to buy different kinds of towers or different kinds of machines that defend you from different kinds of enemies, and wave after wave come after you and you have to try and beat them. Mainly just a relaxing sort of game where you have to think a little bit strategically. And also aesthetically it was fun to play as well. And I enjoyed the different kinds of enemies that came, like you got the zombies with the buckets on the head. I haven't played it for a while, so I don't remember all of them, but it's definitely fun to play. Another P game I enjoyed was Portal. Just a really fun puzzle game with a little bit of a story to it as well. But it was just really fun solving the puzzles where you get 2 guns, each of them creating portals, and going through one portal goes to the other side, and you just had to work out ways to escape sort of the lab and then defeat the final boss using only portal guns. You could turn enemies against each other, and it's just really, really good puzzle game. I haven't played too much of Portal 2. From what I played of it, it was pretty good, but I don't remember it too much, so I didn't want to add it to this list until I got around to playing Portal 2. Very fun game. We move on to Q, where I do have a game on this list that I have played a considerable amount as well, which is Quake 3 Arena. A very old first-person shooter. Very cartoony graphics. Can be a bit graphic, but I mean it's just bodies exploding. It's not too bad. It's just a bunch of red stuff and blood, but nothing too bad compared to some other games. But yeah, it's a first-person shooter where you basically just fight through death matches. You face different enemies, different maps, different guns, different things to find, different upgrades. It's just a fun arcade sort of shooter. You can customize it in game modes as well, where you can fight with a different number of people, so you can make it up to 16 people on the map, I think. You could play capture the flag and team deathmatch as well. But it's just a fun game to progress through. Different maps with different features on it were very good. It's hard to explain how fun it is without actually playing it. But definitely a game I very much enjoyed. R is for Rocket League. Big fan of Rocket League. Definitely. I mean, the fact that it's a lot of short games means I don't have to commit too much time to playing it, which is a good aspect to it. But Rocket League is just really fun because you get to drive around. It's like football where you're trying to score more goals than the other team. And I love football. But it's also the arcade aspect of driving around, boosting, jumping, flying around, scoring really good goals. Playing with friends as well is really fun. It's just a fun game to play when you don't want to have to worry too much about the story. You have to concentrate too much. You have to concentrate a little bit, of course, but it's just a fun, relaxing game to play for me. I don't worry too much about the competitive aspect to it because I know I'm not that good at it, but I'm good enough, I think, to have fun with it. And there are a bunch of game modes as well within Rocket League, like Rumble, where you've got items. There's Hoops as well, which is like a basketball version of Rocket League. And it's just really fun. I don't actually customize my car too much, which is also a really good feature for most people, but yeah, I can imagine people using it a lot more than me. I just like the gameplay to it, to be honest. Some other shout-outs go to Red Dead Redemption. Really, really good single-player, third-person shooter. Of course, Wild Wild West. I don't think I've played too many Wild West games, but Red Dead Redemption does it really well. very interesting characters, very good story. I haven't played through it completely, but you get to do with this open world. You can roam. It's a Rockstar game, so they do that very well. You got hunting as well. Deadeye is a really cool feature where you can sort of like it sort of resembles the quick draw aspect of duels, where you can quickly kill a number of people. That's fun. You got horse combat as well, horseback combat, which is fun. And there's just a lot of other things you can do in the game. There's a lot of side quests as well. It is a Rockstar game. They do these kind of games really well. Definitely a game I would recommend. And I've also added Return of the Obra Dinn to this list. I've only played a little bit of it, but I can already tell I'm really going to enjoy the game. It is a detective style game, but it does it very differently from other ones, where you sort of have to go back to different phases of time, and you have to sort of piece together clues from still images and mini cutscenes where you can only hear the voices. It's very good, appealing visually as well. Definitely a very unique game. Would definitely recommend it. And it's one I'm in the progress of playing at the moment. So, very cool. Moving on to S. Ooh. Alright, S was difficult. There are a lot of games. Actually, there's only a few games that were actually fighting for top spot. But I have, in the end, gone with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's the ultimate Smash game with all the characters. Just the smoothest one in terms of gameplay. I played it online with friends, and I've had people over and played it with friends as well. Really fun fighter game. Loads of iconic characters from all the best Nintendo games. Very, very addictive. Playing with items, without items. Loads of different stages with different hazards. Different settings. Very atmospheric music as well. Because it's sort of a combination of the good things good things Nintendo basically. And yeah, it's there also for nostalgic reasons as well, because I've spent a lot of time playing Smash Bros with my friends, and we'd have parties all the time where we'd gather together and just play it in one room, set up tournaments, and yeah, very, very fun game. I guess I might as well talk about the other Smash Bros games while we're here. So Smash Bros. Brawl was sort of my introduction to the genre, so that's why the original Smash Bros. And Melee aren't there, because that Brawl was actually the first one I played on Nintendo Wii. Very, very fun game. That's where I started playing it with friends as well. But Brawl also had the Subspace Emissary single-player game mode, which, honestly, Smash Bros. Has failed to replicate, I think, since. There are single-player game modes in Ultimate and Wii U as well, but not as good as Brawl's Subspace Emissary, where there was an actual story. There was like platformer maps where you had to go through them, face unique enemies as well, mini enemies as well as boss battles, and there was just so much to it that has been replicated since. I really hope if they do ever make a Smash Bros. Game in the future that they consider adding a single player campaign mode back, because that was really, really fun. There's cutscenes as well, I forgot to mention. And I guess, the Wii U one, probably my least favourite of the three. It had more characters, I think, than Brawl. Other than that, I'm struggling to think of what they actually improved from Brawl to Wii U. There probably was some things there. Probably the actual gameplay was probably better. So I remember Brawl got a lot of criticism for some of the gameplay, especially from a competitive standpoint. Maybe that's what was better. But I'd still definitely much rather play Brawl than Wii U just for the single player aspects. But I enjoy playing the Wii U game too, I can't lie. Maybe it's a little bit of bitterness setting in from paying for the console and then it not being a very good console, not many games being on it, and then being very limited as to how many games I could actually have downloaded on it. Which is just a general complaint at modern consoles, I suppose. Okay, I better carry on talking about S games or we're going to be here all day. I'll sort of bundle Soccer Stars and Shakes and Fidget together. Both were browser games where, similarly to other games, you play as an individual player. Soccer Stars, it's a football player. Shakes and Fidget, you're like a sort of warrior. And then you can form teams in Soccer Stars, guilds in Shakes and Fidget. And then you upgrade your character. You can join teams / guilds with other players online. And in Soccer Stars, there was like a league system where you could climb up, develop with your team, upgrade your team's facilities. It was just a fun game to play with a group of friends where you're all trying to make your team the best. You could be goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, or attacker. You could buy food items, clothes items. You could do work to get money that you could use to buy those things. And it's just a fun browser game to play. Shakes and Fidgets, I think was a bit of a better game, but not as fun to play with friends. But Shakes and Fidgets solo had more features to it. You could fight other players in arenas. You could do quests rather than missions, which were a bit more quests rather than working, which were a bit more interesting. The items you could get were more varied as well. But both were fun games in their own right. I don't think they exist anymore. I remember trying to find Soccer Stars online, and I think the servers have actually gone down. I don't think the game is played anymore, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Sid Meier's Pirates is on the list. This was one of the ones competing for top spot. Really, really fun game on the PSP, where you start off as a pirate whose family basically got kidnapped, and you're the only one that escaped, and your quest is to find your family, and you have to be a pirate in the Caribbean. And yeah, there's so many things you can do as a pirate for its time. Like, you could obviously loot other ships. It was like open worlds to a degree. You could explore around the Caribbean. There were different countries you could side with who were variably at war or at peace with each other, and you had to adjust your gameplay depending on who was at war with who. You could take down criminals to help out governors, get favor with them, find buried treasure, upgrade your ship. There were so many ways to do that. Recruit crew members from different ports. Get so many different items to upgrade your character or help you with certain missions. So much to the game. For a PSP game, it was just really so much to do. Also, there was Notorious Pirates. You could take down some of the most famous pirates of the time as well. I'm probably even missing out a bunch of stuff from that description, but Sid Meier's Pirates is a very, very good game. Up there with one of my favourites. Next on the list, we've got Sleeping Dogs, which is actually a game I haven't played too much of, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's set in Hong Kong, if I remember right, definitely East Asia somewhere, where it's about like sort of the street gangs and the street fights. I can't remember like the main story to it, but I remember really enjoying the combat to it. Obviously, it's martial arts themed, so that aspect of it was really fun because that gives you so many more options in combat. It's just more aesthetically pleasing. But I think the story is pretty good from what I remember. I think it's open world as well, so you can explore and do quests and side quests, but the settings were nice as well. Were nice in the fact that they depicted some of the lower income areas in a very cool way. I think you could use your environment in Sleeping Dogs as well. There's Song Pop, which is actually a game I still play, which is like a sort of guess the song game, where you have to guess, where you play against people online. There are different categories which you can pick, and then as you progress and get money, you can then buy those playlists and then use those playlists yourself against opponents. And then there are 5 songs. It plays a bit of a song and you have to guess it as quickly as possible, and you get more points the quicker you guess it, but 0 points if you get it wrong. There's multiple choice, and you get to play rounds against opponents. There's also a fun mode called Parties, where you can pick from different categories and then try and get the high score per day, and then you get rewards for that. I just like, guess the song is fun, and Song Pop so far is the most fun way I've found to play it. What's next? We got Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing as well. Probably underrated a bit because of Mario Kart and that being like the most popular one. But Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing, also a really fun game. I don't know too many of the characters because I'm not familiar with too many of the Sega games. So the Sonic characters are the main pull of it. But it was still a fun game to play. There are different challenges as well, different maps, different sort of items. Some of them were the same. What it does have that Mario Kart doesn't was like unique. There was a thing called All-Star Mode, where each character had a unique ability, which you could get especially if you were losing, similar to like bullet bills on Mario Kart, but it was unique per character, which was fun. As a cool aspect to it, similar to Mario Kart, but different maps, different maps as well, because it's different games. And you had commentary as well, which could be pretty fun at times. It gets a bit repetitive, as all games with commentary do, but I think it definitely added to the atmosphere of the game. I enjoyed it. Probably there's an option to turn it off as well if you didn't like it. Yeah, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, very cool game. And yeah, another game that was very, very close to making the top spot was the Splinter Cell series, with my boy Sam Fisher. Probably my favorite of the Secret Agent games. Very fun dialogue. Very cool area design, and that there are a lot of times where you really have to think outside the box to progress the save. Like, you have to find an event which is not like immediately visible, or you have to climb something you didn't realize you were able to climb. You had to gather intelligence during a mission that would help you later on, and you had to make contact with people, with your base as well. What else? Yeah, it's a lot. It can be difficult at times because enemies can have unpredictable patterns. That was another cool aspect to it. It's played in loads of different countries as well. Different news articles, news feeds to sort of help you keep you up with the story and what's happening, and yeah, just very amazing. If you do want to watch an amazing playthrough of it, my brother, again I'll leave a link below. He's started a Splinter Cell playthrough, but a really, really fun series. He's playing the original at the moment. I imagine he's gonna play the other ones after that. I've played up to Double Agent. I may have played a bit of Conviction, I'm not sure. But Double Agent's the last one I finished. But yeah, all of them very, very enjoyable games. Maybe Double Agent is the top one, just for the Double Agent aspect of it. Where you had to sort of go undercover as an enemy, and you had to complete missions for both sides while maintaining the trust of the other one. I really enjoyed that aspect to it. But yeah, Splinter Cell original one is probably the one I've played the most. And finally for S, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Just a fun Star Wars game to play on the PC, really. First person shooter, although you could play as a third person as a Jedi as well. There was a story to it as well, which sort of takes you through a Star Wars story from the perspective of one of the clones. And actually takes you through their opinions as well, which normally you don't get much of that, because clones are just clones, they're just troops. But it's interesting to hear the story from their side, and the gameplay is pretty fun as well. You make progress, and you have to eventually get to play as Jedi if you kill a certain amount of enemies. And yeah, the maps are cool as well. Moving on to T, my favourite game from this list is The Saboteur. Again, it's one that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of, but that doesn't do it justice, because it is, if I had to liken it to a game, it would be Grand Theft Auto in a sense. But it's open world, you get quests from different places, you get to explore different areas. It's set in like World War II in France, while there was the Nazi occupation of France, and you play as an Irish race car driver, but that becomes a bit secondary once you get to the plot. But the idea is you help the resistance take back Paris over the Nazis. But it's a really good story. The gameplay is really good. You get to experience using all kinds of guns. You can disguise yourself as a Nazi. There are loads of secondary objectives as well, where you take down different Nazi installations and buildings. And it's another interesting thing is that the game starts in black and white, and as you complete each area, all the quests in each area, the black and white areas turn to color. Just really adds to the sort of ability to immerse yourself in the game and really want to complete everything, because you want to make everything in color. As I said, the story is really good. The characters are interesting. The dialogue is funny as well. You play as an Irish guy in France, so that adds a lot of interesting option. The British are involved as well. There are British characters. There are German characters that aren't Nazis as well. There are races. There's a whole racing aspect of the game. But yeah, there's so much to like about The Saboteur. Definitely a game worth playing. And that's why it's top of this list. There are some other games though I want to give some shoutouts to as well. The Golden Compass is a game I enjoyed on the PSP. Weirdly enough, I know it's based on a film. Weirdly enough, I don't actually remember the film very well. But as a game on the PSP, was really fun. There's a lot of different puzzles and mini games to solve. And also there's a lot of combat where you get the armored polar bear. I can't remember what his name was. It probably doesn't help when trying to do justice to the game. There are loads of different levels and different aspects to the game. There's persuasion games where you have to try and persuade different characters to do things. And loads of games based on the compass, which would take a while to explain if I tried to explain them. But really, really fun game to play on the PSP for sure. Next on the list, the Simpsons game. I'm a massive Simpsons fan. The Simpsons game takes you through a bunch of different scenarios where you play as different Simpsons characters. You get funny interactions. You're trying to defeat a final boss at the end. It is based on like episodes of The Simpsons, each one I think. And you get to play as different characters. There are different mini games, different collectibles, which really tap into like each Simpsons character, which is really fun. And yeah, definitely a good game. Not one of my favorites, as in like top tier, but definitely one I enjoy playing. Next up is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which probably would be a lot higher on the list if I'd have played more of it. But I have played the start of it. It is a fun game. Story looks good so far. Characters look interesting. There's a lot of collecting and tracking, taking down strong opponents, boss fights, as well as other enemies as well. I have enjoyed it for the little bit I have played it, but it's another one that is on my list of games to complete. So I didn't put it higher on the list for that reason, but looking forward to eventually getting around to playing it. Next up is Temple Run, which is one of my, if not my favorite mobile game. Which is, for those who don't know what Temple Run is, it is basically like a game where you're dodging obstacles, trying to find as much treasure as you can before you get caught by a monster. You have to swipe left, right, up and down to dodge obstacles as they come, and it's like a test of your reaction speed. And there's a bunch of little perks and stuff that can help you avoid being hit or give you more treasure, and then you can use that treasure to buy perks and more items, more characters. And it's just, it's definitely the most fun out of the mobile games I've had. And there are ads on it, but they're not invasive. They're optional as well, so you don't have to watch them. You do get bonuses from watching them, but you really don't need them to enjoy yourself playing the game. So it's definitely one of my favorite mobile games. The other game on this list is Top 11, Be a Football Manager, which is again a game I used to play. It's a football manager game, but not like Online Soccer Manager where progress reset every season. This was one where you could make progress every season, climb up divisions. It used to be a Facebook game as well, so I used to play this with my friends on Facebook. Not with, but you could track your progress against theirs. You could play friendlies against them. There was a whole transfer market where you could compete with other players online to buy different players. There was training to make your players better, tactics. And later on they added a feature where you could watch the games live as well. They happened at particular times. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. I don't know what it's like recently. They probably changed it. I think it still exists. But I've got the real Football Manager to play now. And I don't think many of my friends play this game anymore. So I don't see any reason to get back into it. It is a lot of a big grind to get your team to a decent level. You can't really speed up. But anyway, that's T. Moving on to EU. There's only one game series that came remotely close to making it here, and that is the Unreal Tournament series. I've chosen Unreal Tournament 3 as my favourite. That's the one after 2003. There was Unreal Tournament 2004 as well, but I never played 2004. I just skipped straight to 3. Yeah, Unreal Tournament 3. I'll talk a little bit about Unreal Tournament 2003 as well first, because that will lead in to what I had to say about Unreal Tournament 3. But it's basically a game where you play... It is a tournament, to put it bluntly. You play a bunch of tournament game modes, like there's Team Deathmatch, there's Domination, which is based on your teams capturing areas. I think other Call of Duty has Domination, other game modes have a form of Domination as well, where your teams have to control as much territory as they possibly can. There's Capture the Flag. I'm sure I probably don't need to tell you what that is. And in 2003 there was a game called Bombing Run, where both teams try and get the bomb and try and run to the other team's base to try and blow up their base, and the other team's trying to do the same to you in the meantime. So you play through these tournament game modes and you progress up the ladder, and eventually face like the final boss, which is like the best team in the game, which is championship team, like Brock, Lauren, and Malcolm are like the iconic characters from 2003, and you have to beat them in a team deathmatch. Then you have to beat Malcolm, who's like the captain of the team, in the final. And it's just really fun gameplay, different maps with some hidden secrets as well. Just a really fun FPS game. Was one, along with Quake 3 Arena, were my introductions to first-person shooting, and I guess Counter-Strike as well. In Unreal Tournament 3, though, they actually added a story mode to the game, where you're still playing like these sort of tournament mode games, but they sort of managed to make the story based around it, where each team had respawners that would like run out of energy if the other team captured the flag a certain amount of times, for example. So they managed to weave that into a story pretty cleverly, which was pretty good. I enjoyed that aspect of it. It would have been fun if they sort of mixed that in with sort of like actual combat. What am I trying to say here? Like, if they had like actual missions which weren't just capture the flag games, or team deathmatch games where you're just like fighting through enemies and you're fighting for different objectives, and it feels less like a game where two teams are facing each other, and one where like enemies are really at war with each other and trying to take over a territory. If you understand what I mean. But it was still really, really good. And maybe it would have been cool if there was some tournament aspect to it. I know it's cool, Unreal Tournament. There isn't actually a tournament in it. Although tournaments are part of the lore of the game. But they did upgrade on some of the some of the gameplay modes, where they added vehicles into the game, including the capture of a flag, which added a whole new aspect to the game. They also added a whole new game mode called Warfare, which was like the main game mode, I suppose, where it's like an upgraded version of Domination in 2003, where you're trying to take over. You're gradually taking over territory, and you're trying to push towards the enemy base, and you eventually have to blow up the enemy base. I guess that's a little bit like what I was describing before. Yeah. Which I guess it is sort of what I was describing, wasn't it? But I wanted it to be less themed as like a game mode where you're trying to get the base down from 100 to 0. You're trying to fight for different kinds of objectives as well. Like you would in, say, a Grand Theft Auto game or a Call of Duty game. Where it's just, you feel like you're actually doing a mission rather than just playing a minigame, if that makes sense. But all that being said, Unreal Tournament 3, huge graphic update as well, and just a lot more fun to play. The dialogue's improved as well, although in some ways the 2003 dialogue is iconic in its way, just because it's so old and funny. Yeah, that is it for you. For V, you were definitely not expecting me to pick this game. But I have picked Virtua Tennis 2009. You may have noticed some of these games have 2009 on it, because this was my prime Nintendo Wii era, where I played loads of Wii games, and that was all I wanted. And Virtua Tennis was just a fun game because it was tennis, and it was active as well because you'd actually swing the racket to and fro. There was mini games. There was different tournaments, singles and doubles tournaments, where you could like progress your character as well. It was just a fun game, fun active game to play, where you actually had a career mode, sort of where you were making progress, which is what sets it over the next game I'm about to say. You got to play against professional players as well, not online, but professional players like Rafael Nadal the Williams sisters, stuff like that. Andy Murray, I guess, since he's on the cover. And there were so many different tennis players of different nationalities as well. I think a lot of them were not generated, but they're in-game only characters, but still. And everyone had different sort of abilities as well, so when you were choosing who to pick for a doubles partner, you could take that into account as well. So that was fun. Yeah, as I was saying, the other game that had active tennis in it, as you could probably guess for the letter W, is Wii Sports, which overall, by the way, I preferred to virtual tennis. But yeah, Wii Sports was just the Nintendo Wii game, wasn't it? The introduction, where you could play this game on a console with motion sensor technology, and it was just, at the time, it was just the coolest thing ever. And I still really like that is a thing, and I would still play the Nintendo Wii if I didn't have such a limited time to play all these other games as well. But the Nintendo Wii was the introduction to it. You had tennis, which I enjoyed playing against my friends. I used to go to my friend's house after school and face him in tennis as well. And it was just really arcadey as well. Like super unrealistic, ridiculous curve and rocket serves, which really worked with the graphics of the game, with creating Miis as well, and progressing your characters to become pros. There was bowling, which was pretty fun to play. I didn't play too much of the golf, but yeah, golf did exist. It wasn't bad, it was just there was never a time where I'd really prefer to play golf over the other ones, but I think I'd appreciate it more now than I did back then if I were to play it. There's baseball as well. I think baseball was my favourite one of the five, because you could pick a Mii and then your whole team would be other Miis you created as well. And of course the ability to time your hits and then get home runs, the feeling of getting a home run was just really good as well. And you got to pitch in different styles as well, and you got to face different pitches. So Wii Sports baseball was probably my favourite one. There was also boxing as well, which was fun, but I just wanted to hit things, and I had no interest in sort of the strategy of boxing. So I would just get the Wii remote and the nunchuck and just spam punching forever, which worked for the first few opponents of Wii boxing, but then not so much the further you progressed, at least from my experience. But yeah, Wii Sports, an iconic game for its time for sure. And the other game on this list, I put Warframe, which I play a little bit with my friend. It's a fun first-person shooter where you're sort of just gunning down enemies. You're making progress, upgrading your character. You get to glide around. There's a bit of a story to it as well. It's very futuristic as well. You get perks, you get different animations, different kinds of enemies, and yeah, it's definitely fun to play with friends as well, where you get to back each other up and co-op your way through. That's W. Almost at the end now. We're at X. Well, this is another one where I have never played the game. It's Xenoblade Chronicles. I've only picked this because some of Xenoblade characters are in Smash. Big up Shulk, who's probably my favourite out of those. But yeah, that's the only reason it's fair, because I couldn't think of anything else for X. Sorry, not much else to say about it. I'm sure it's a great game. I heard some of the music, it's pretty good. They haven't. I think I've seen some gameplay of it. Not that I remember though. Let's move on to Y. And yeah, if you know me, you know there's only one brand of games that's going in Y, and those are Yu-Gi-Oh games. And the one I put at the top of the list is Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Tag Force 5. I've got a Tag Force 2 playthrough at the moment going on my channel on Snowflake Gaming. I haven't uploaded for a while. If that series isn't dead, I will get around to resuming that. But yeah, the Tag Force series, really, really fun. You get to sort of work on your card collection. You play through the story mode. You develop a relationship with your tag partner, or in Tag Force 4 and 5, partners. Loads of different types of decks you get to face. And yeah, it's just a really fun Yu-Gi-Oh game to play on your own. You have all the characters from the series as well, and unique sort of missions, I guess, events they call them in the game, which aren't from the original series but added on as part of the game. And yeah, it's just fun to duel using different kinds of decks as well, trying to win with different conditions. I guess whatever thrills you get from the Yu-Gi-Oh game in general, you will get from these Yu-Gi-Oh games. But you also have the story aspect of the series, as well as having to collect the cards yourself and not just having them all available to you. Buying packs as well, which is one of the things. It's fun, and you don't have to actually buy packs with money. You just make money in the game from dueling and use that to buy packs. Tag Force 2 also has a really cool feature called Dueling into the Abyss, where you basically fight for a gauntlet of enemies and you can find cards and gems and stuff underground, which is fun. Tag Force 5 has a better tournament feature as well, which has duels with like different conditions, and you can tag and you can partner up with different partners every day as well. You don't have to stick with the same one in a game in a series like you do with Tag Force 2. There are different ways to become friends with people. And yeah, Tag Force series, couldn't recommend it more if you have a PSP. But even if you don't, there are ways to play it on PC as well. Then there are a couple of the online games. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn of a New Era is a game. I don't know if it still runs, but this is how I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With my friends. So this was like my go-to online Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. It also had some really cool puzzle challenges as well on it. I don't know. I think I might have played through some of those on my channel. I definitely played through some of them on my own. But it had some really good puzzles where it has a certain the puzzles where it's like you're dueling someone, and your objective is to win in one turn, and there are a certain amount of cards available to you in your hand, and your opponent has these cards on the field or whatever, and you have to work out how to win in one turn with the cards you have. And some of them were really difficult, and you had to really use effects of cards which you didn't think you'd have to use in various weird ways. So that was really fun. But mainly this was the game I played online with my friends, and yeah, a game I played what was I going to say? The game I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Games on my channel with. So if you've seen any videos I made with my friends playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, it was on Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn of a New Era. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is the online Yu-Gi-Oh! Game I'm playing at the moment. Not with friends, but it's just the latest one. I'm trying to slowly get back into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Games because I fell behind after the Synchro era. Xyz monsters I know a little bit about, but after that it all gets very hazy. So I'm starting to learn more about the game now. I'm playing through like the single player mode, but there's challenges similar to the puzzles in Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn of a New Era, but it's just like tools against AIs of different decks. There's different cards you can get as rewards. So I'm just playing through the single player aspect, like sort of get used to new Yu-Gi-Oh!, which slowly getting used to. I get what link monsters do now, so there's that. And yeah, graphically very good. Walks you through the game. There are loads of different packs you can get, loads of different online ways to play as well, which I haven't done yet, but I've seen them, and they keep the game up to date as well, which is nice. And there's also Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, which is like my go-to travel game at the moment, which I have on the Switch, where it's basically a game where it's based on the anime series, and it has all of the anime, well, most of the anime duels from the series, and you can basically play as the character as if you were dueling that person in the anime, and it organizes your deck so it's similar to the one that the character of the anime had. So, for example, in episode 1, when Yugi duels Kyler, you get to replay that duel again as Yugi, and it will have a deck similar to Yugi's where you have Exodia, and you can win using Exodia. But you can also play the reverse matchup if you want. You can play as Kyler against Yugi, and it has like all of them. I think definitely up to Arc 5, maybe some after that. It might be DLC, I'm not entirely sure. But very fun to play through that series. Feels like you're in the anime. I think they go through like the cutscenes of those scenes as well, which is pretty good, so you know what was happening at the time if you didn't necessarily watch the anime episodes yourself. And they do a good job, I think, of balancing the decks so you can win on both sides, so that every duel is sort of a challenge, while also not being too impossible to beat. And also they do make it so the draws aren't rigged, so you or your opponents can get like really good or really bad hands, and it's not like rigged against you or anything, or rigged for you to make it too easy or too difficult. It's just luck, just like the Yu-Gi-Oh game, which I did appreciate. Alright, and to round off, we have got Z, which stands for Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now I have to admit, I have not played much Zelda Breath of the Wild. I do own the game on a Wii U, funnily enough, and I played a little bit of it. I did enjoy it. It's like open world, freedom of exploration, and the Zelda franchise is definitely something I'm interested in and want to get to know a little bit better. I have played a bit of Tears of the Kingdom. I did play a bit when I went to my friend's house. He let me play it for a bit. I did some of the puzzles for him. I can't remember what they're called. Are they totems? I can't remember what the puzzles of Tears of the Kingdom are called, some of them. But yeah, it seemed like a really interesting game. It's on my list of games to play. It's the only Z game I have actually played, excluding Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, that is my Z, and wow, almost 2 hours. So that's the end of my A to Z list of my favourite video games of all time. Of course, as I play through more games, this list will probably change, and I'll add more stuff to it. As of the 8th of January 2024, this is it. Maybe I'll do a follow-up at some point if there are significant changes to it. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon. All the best. Yeah, peace.